All right, what's up, fellas? Wake Up Mintzy, presented by the fine folks at Dude Wipes. It's a rainy, windy Tuesday morning here in the Barstool Sports office in Chicago. Glad we always have Dude Wipes to clean up all our messes, because this weekend was a total mess. It was a Stage 5 disaster in South Louisiana. But you can find these at Walmart, Target, or Amazon nationwide. Let it rip with Dude Wipes. Check out their Dumpkin Spice. Perfect for the fall season. I'm drinking my Stella Blue coffee. Trying to wake up, get my mind right, and get over what the hell just happened in South Louisiana. A lot to get to today. We've got ULM football coach Bryant Vincent going to join us at 9:15. The Warhawks, one of the stories in America. The 5-1 ULM Warhawks. Is hell freezing over? Unbelievable. Hadn't made a bowl game since 2012, and they went 6-6. Their win total, I believe, is 1.5 games. Coach Vincent came over from New Mexico, offensive coordinator, and is doing the Lord's work in Monroe, and we're excited to have him on at 9:15. Got a big response. ULM off a big home win over Southern Miss. Had the big upset of James Madison the week before. They're 5-1 on their bye week. They're one game away from bowl eligibility, and he is one of the top, I guess, behind Kirk Cignetti at Indiana. He may be the top coach of the year candidate. Tyler Moody running the show from Louisiana as always. A lot of stuff to get into. We're going to just have to start with just the hangover from South Louisiana this weekend. I'm sure everybody saw it. That Ole Miss LSU game, one for the ages. Sucks to be on the side I was on it. It was still, obviously everything but the game. Great weekend in Baton Rouge. Got to hang out with Todd Graves, our good friend from Raising Cane's, and Gordy Rush, my old ESPN Baton Rouge boss. Shout out Derek Panamsky, Coach O's old right-hand guy. We had a huge time at Rufino's on Friday, honoring Ruffin, Rodrigue, our old friend. Big turnout there. Atmosphere at LSU on Saturday, just totally bananas. We got out there, walked around, tailgated, hit a few tailgates. Shout out the second string tailgating crew, Tiger Island, Blake Williamson. Just awesome time there. I mean, I literally couldn't come up for air on that campus. It was so much fun, reunion, all that. And I ended up on the Ole Miss sideline pregame and for the first half of the game. The atmosphere in Death Valley Saturday night, look, say whatever you want, it gets no better. Rowdiest 100 years of Death Valley getting celebrated. They have a new light show. You had Boozy playing Set It Off. I mean, it was, I don't see how there could be a crazier college football atmosphere. I mean, it was literally as turned up as I've seen it in a long, long time. And, Ole Miss goes down there as a 3.5-point favorite. Everything on the line, need that win so bad for the playoff chances. And, you look back on that game. I mean, first quarter, Ole Miss outgains them like 140-30, gets an interception on the LSU 20, and it's 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. And right when I saw that, I'm just like, we're screwed. You can't. Trey Harris dropped a 70-yard touchdown on the first drive. He hadn't dropped a pass in 2 years for Ole Miss, basically. You have mistakes like that. I was just like, this is going to end up biting them. And I don't know what it is with the damn voodoo in South Louisiana or what, but the entire game, Ole Miss led literally the entire game from 3-0 until LSU tied it with like 30 seconds left on a touchdown when they converted a fourth down pass for a touchdown and another fourth down on the drive. And what was crazy, and this is like a mental thing, even though Ole Miss was leading the entire way, I still just never thought Ole Miss was going to win. It's something about Death Valley and the voodoo down there and the atmosphere. I literally am at a point where I had to see the final score with Ole Miss more points on the board in the final before I believed they'd win. Ole Miss hadn't won down there since I was 25 years old. I'm 41 now. And this loss is going to sting for a long, long time. And LSU rushed the field. Like I said, the atmosphere was unbelievable. I heard on my way out that stadium, and I know, it is what it is when you sign up for, when you go down to LSU as an opposing fan, especially when you're me and you got a target on your back. So, I don't take any of it too seriously. Just don't throw whiskey bottles or be violent with me, and I'm going to laugh it off. But, man, that walk home from that stadium it was every bit of what I expected. I was in the LSU concourse, and some drunk dude just came up to me with two hands and just shoved the crap out of me. And that guy was lucky. If I wasn't a 41-year-old overweight middle-aged guy, I might have done something about it. But I didn't. I just was like, it's not worth getting in a fight here. But I definitely got shoved on the way out. And then I had a 2-mile walk home from the game. And, man, I heard everything you could hear under the sun. More F-bombs, called a traitor to the state of Louisiana. Honestly, I was chuckling about it because that's what it is with LSU. Their fan base, the venom, the Death Valley atmosphere, them playing neck all night. I mean, it is what it is. You sign up for it. I kind of, like I said, I look at it as content as long as it doesn't get physical and bottles don't get hurled at your head. But, man, well, it was horrible Saturday night down there for Rebel fans. But, if you're a college football fan, atmosphere is second to none. Doug Nussmeier bringing LSU back. It's a damn shame on the Ole Miss side of it. You're wasting the best defense we've ever had. The front set defense was awesome the whole game, and the offensive line fell apart. Jackson Dart was out of rhythm in the second half. The running game wasn't consistent. They just gave it away. Just plain and simple. The game was there for the taking, and then, they got to when after LSU scored to force overtime, that overtime first possession for Ole Miss was just a disaster. Holding call, delay a game. You literally couldn't hear yourself think down on the field. It was so loud. Shout out Caden Davis, the Ole Miss kicker, rips a 57-yarder. To give them a chance, but then on LSU's first play of their possession, they throw a 25-yard pass that I think Kyron Lacey pushed off on, but, what are you going to do? Obviously the refs are going to hold it in there. LSU rushes the field. It's the biggest damn party I've ever seen, and on the other side of it, it just sucked. And it sucks 3 days later. It's going to suck for the next 365 days. Everyone knows what was at stake this year with this Ole Miss season, with Ole Miss going all in to make the playoffs. And now you're sitting here in mid-October with 2 losses. On the Ole Miss side of it, you literally have to win out your final 5 games and get help at this point. It was not a death nail, but for Ole Miss. They got to bye before Oklahoma at Arkansas and Georgia. Got to win out. Really got to hope Georgia beats Texas this week to make that Georgia game bigger, because if Georgia comes to Doxer with 2 losses, I don't know if a win over them will be enough to get Ole Miss back in the playoff. And then LSU just gets to celebrate all week. They got to go to Arkansas and to A&M next too, so they're probably in trouble, at least one of them, maybe if not both. What we're seeing in the SEC this year is kind of fascinating to me, though, and I had a talk with my old boss at ESPN Baton Rouge, Gordy Rush, and I think what he said to me on Friday night is true. The edges are smaller in college football right now than they've ever been with the top and middle tier of these teams because of the NIL world. You look at what Bama and Georgia used to be. You have 5 stars playing second and third string. You don't have that anymore. Nobody has depth because if you're not playing, you transfer. And what we're seeing now in the SEC, let's look at these point spreads the last few weeks. These 2 touchdown underdogs winning outright like crazy. Every game's close. You look at Bama, last 2 weeks, loses as a 23-point favorite to Vandy. Almost loses a 21-point home favorite to South Carolina. Tennessee needs overtime to beat Florida as a 15-point favorite. Lost as a 13.5-point favorite at Arkansas. Vandy, back-to-back weeks, wins as a 23-point home underdog and a 12.5-point underdog at Kentucky. This is going to keep happening. The edges are smaller. That was kind of the one myth was, before the year you looked at Georgia and Bama and Ole Miss and, all the teams you thought were the top teams. There's not as much of a difference between them and the Kentuckys and South Carolina and Vandys as you thought. And there's just a lot of underdog value. And it's going to keep happening. And then it's so hard to win on the road in the conference. And it looks like you're going to see, I know Texas right now looks like the best team off the 34-3, just thrashing Oklahoma. They're undefeated. But, other than them, and I'm not even sure they won't lose this week to Georgia, what you're seeing is a lot more parity, and you're going to end up seeing a lot of 2- and 3-loss teams, and this playoff thing is going to end up being kind of jumbled. You got to give the Texas Longhorn credit. They destroyed Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma sucks, though. They got a freshman quarterback out there, a lot of injuries at receiver. I don't really think they're all that good. And Texas is getting anointed as the number 1 team right now, and look, I get it. They slaughtered Michigan at Michigan. They just killed Oklahoma. I still got to see how they do against Georgia this week because they hadn't played one quarterback that can pass yet. And I got to see what their secondary's like when they play a team with an actual passing game. And there's obviously a ton of hype on Georgia-Texas in Austin this weekend. I need to see Texas win that game before I'm totally anointing them. Everybody else already has. But what are you going to do? Bama survives at home against South Carolina. Man, that was a wild game to the end. They're obviously not as taking a little bit of a step back. Still have a good shot at the playoff. Tennessee survives against Florida in overtime. Tennessee always has problems with Florida. Tough news for Florida. Losing Graham Mertz. Quarterback's going to be out for the year with a knee injury. Now paving the way for the 5-star freshman DJ Lagway. Going to be coming in there, and we'll see if he can save Billy Napier's job. But Florida's not that bad. South Carolina's not that bad. Vandy's not that bad. Kentucky's not that bad. So we're going to just kind of keep seeing that all over college football in the SEC. We're going to keep seeing these upsets and these close games, and I'm going to be firing more underdogs. and seeing what happens. What a weekend in college football. Oregon beats Ohio State 32-31 in a thriller. Dan Lanning, interesting coaching, getting that 12th man on the field on purpose at the end. But Oregon able to pull it out as a 3-point home dog. Now they're number 2. Texas number 1. Oregon number 2. The unnecessary roughness guys that look like they had a big time in Dallas. The college football show looked like a hell of a lot of fun at the State Fair. And what a weekend it was. USC blows that Penn State game. I was on USC plus 3.5 all week. At least they covered the spread. But, they're up 17-3 at half and just completely blow it. All of a sudden, they're 3-3. Got to wonder how much heat that LSU game seems like a long time ago. We'll see how much heat Lincoln Riley is going to start taking. But, BYU might be the best team in the Big 12 after they beat Arizona. Big shout out to them. Big win there. I got stung on the Pitt-Cal game. Pitt only winning by 2. Cal's defense did a good job on Eli Holstein. I still went like 6-3. I'm still smoking college football, though. I'm not. All people aren't giving me the credit I deserve. I've been hammering college football more than anybody in this company so far this year. So put some respect on my name. As always, we're DraftKings partners. And do your wagering on DraftKings. NFL, and to think this weekend couldn't go any worse. I mean, I get rained on the whole 2-mile walk home. And then Sunday, get up early to drive to New Orleans to go to the Superdome. Saints, a 3.5-point home underdog against Tampa, trying to save their season at 2-3. And what do? They have 594 yards of offense. 594? The Chiefs got almost 500 the week before. Look, I get on the Saints front, they were starting a rookie quarterback in Spencer Rattler. You got your top 2 offensive linemen out. Taysom Hill's out. Chris Olave gets a concussion beginning of the game. He's out. I get the offense is going to struggle. You can't put that on Rattler. He's a rookie quarterback out there without an O-line and out their top players. But the defense, they've got a couple injuries in the secondary, but what the hell is that? You've got a lot of talent on that D. You have 594. I walked into that game at 14-0 thinking it was going to be a funeral, and then all hell breaks loose in the Dome in the second quarter. Shaheed has a punt return touchdown. Mayfield threw 3 picks. Saints somehow are up 27-24 at halftime. It's the craziest second quarter I've ever seen. And then what happens in the second half? They just get massacred. 27-0 Bucks. Second half, they win 51-27. Now you look at the Saints. NFC South, Atlanta 4-2, Tampa 4-2, Saints 2-4, and 0-2 head-to-head against both of them. This season's a stage 5. That Cowboys game, last week I said it felt like it was 6 months ago. It feels like it was 5 years ago now for the Saints. This thing's all but over. Sean Payton coming in Thursday night with the 3-3 Broncos. That'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back in that building. But just a tough weekend, man. You go down to South Louisiana all fired up to see your favorite 2 teams. Get to go to Ole Miss, LSU, and Saints Bucks and just watch them both, all but in their seasons in mid-October. After, 4 weeks ago, Ole Miss 3-0, Saints 2-0. Couldn't have been more optimistic. It's a brutal game. Such is life. I guess that's why God created gambling, so you can still be entertained and fantasy football. NFL-wise, last night, Bills beat the Jets. Just, man, a lot of wind, a lot of crazy games there. Wow, it's breaking news. Davante Adams traded to the New York Jets. Just breaking right now. I was hoping he'd go to the Saints, but I guess at 2-4, did I really hope that? Davante Adams going to join his old friend Aaron Rodgers. Just breaking right now. Haven't seen the compensation. So Davante Adams going to join Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets. Try to save their season at 2-4. That division's still kind of open, even though that was a very tough loss for them last night in New York. But Davante Adams now a member of the New York Jets. Some other NFL stuff. How about that birthday present the Dallas Cowboys gave Jerry Jones? Turning 82 on Sunday and just come out. And for the 4th straight game at home, you just get massacred. Dallas is 3-3, so you don't have to totally hit the panic button. But holy crap, the Green Bay playoff game, the Saints, the Ravens, and the Lions, these games are just ass whippings at halftime every game. And, you got to think the Cowboys player. Jerry Jones giving those guys millions of dollars. That's the birthday present you're give them. Detroit massacred them. And I think it's time to have the talk. Is Detroit the best team in the NFL? They got everything. You got a stud offensive line, 2 great running backs in Montgomery and Gibbs. You got a power running game. You got a Monter St. Brown, Jameson Williams taking the top off defenses, Laporta. Jared Goff's ruthlessly efficient. And then you got Ben Johnson calling plays. You got a power running game, and then you're running flea flickers for a touchdown. You're running laterals. It's kind of like, what can't this team do? But, man, that Aiden Hutchinson injury, their defensive leader, stud, one of the best defensive players in the NFL, broken tibia and fibula. Hate to see that. He already had successful surgery. So we'll see how they recover from that. But you got to give the Detroit Lions credit. They were off the bye. They might be the best team in the NFL right now. What a statement that was in Dallas. Bengals got a ugly but good win at the Giants to get back to 2-4 on Sunday Night Football. Just on it goes, man. I don't know. I had like a Brown break-even gambling weekend. So at least when I said I was texting Stephen Shea and Moody, I was like, I don't know how this weekend could have gone worse. Well, it could have gone worse because I could have gotten destroyed in gambling. But, I woke up yesterday in just such a horrible mood. I kind of had like a little bit of a pity party Monday. And I was like, okay, you got to flush this. Quit being a little bitch. Get back at it today, and now we're doing it. As always, Barstool, a lot of fun stuff. We got our big upfronts on Wednesday, so big week in the office looking for 2025 business. That's going to be a lot of fun. And, the train rolls on. And, watching the Major League Baseball playoffs really close, the New York streams have been a lot of fun with both the Mets and the Yankees in the NL and ALCS. Last night, the Mets, 6-3 win off that big grand slam to tie it in L.A., going back to New York at 1-1. Yankees 5-2 winners over the Royals. They're up 1-0. Can y'all imagine if we get a Subway Series World Series? I mean, this could happen. This is 24 years later. We all remember the 2000 one. And now we're going to have a 2024 Subway Series. Dodgers-Mets feels obviously way up for grabs at 1-1. This Mets team, just, man, they always fight back. Their resiliency is crazy. I feel like the Yankees got to feel pretty good against the Guardians, though. The Guardians, although they're in the ALCS, their offense has kind of been hit and miss, during the postseason. And so Yankees up 1-0. Got to feel good after that 5-2 win last night. Also NBA about to start. The NHL started. October is the best sports month of the year. You can feel the weather changing. It's like mid-40s and raining today. I feel like it's like a metaphor for coming back off the South Louisiana weekend. But what are you going to do? But so much fun stuff going on, as always. Enjoying the baseball playoffs have been great. Shout out Moody. Follow at Moody Mac TV. He keeps giving winners. He gave out the over yesterday in Mets Dodgers, and then he got me on the Yankees laying a run and a half. So 2 more winners from that. Check out Moody Mac TV for picks. Tonight we've got Guardians Yankees, and Mets Dodgers is day off because they're traveling back to New York for Game 3. As I mentioned, the big news, Devontae Adams to the Jets. We're going to be joined by Bryant Vincent here in a minute. Starting to look ahead to next week in college football, and no doubt about it, the Georgia-Texas game, the highlight. Texas and Austin this weekend, F1. They've got Formula One and Georgia, Texas. Austin's going to be the craziest place on the planet next weekend. Just insane how wild that's going to be. I can't even imagine. Some other stuff from this weekend in the NFL world to touch on. What a game that was in Washington and Baltimore. Baltimore winning 30-23, but Jaden Daniels, even in the loss, threw for like 270 yards. One of the most fun quarterback matchups we've ever seen with Lamar and Daniels. This Derrick Henry thing, 94 yards, 2 more touchdowns. I don't see how a running back could age any better than he is. That's kind of one of those games where you can't even say bad stuff about Washington in the loss. Baltimore looks like they might be one of the best teams. I feel like Lions and Ravens look like the 2 best teams. Washington's still 4-2 in front of the NFC East, but Jaden, to go play a good game on the road at Baltimore, if there was going to be a spot he ever played a bad game, it'd probably be there, and it didn't happen. He continues to be, in my opinion, the front runner for the NFL MVP, even in that loss. Some drama in Philly. Yeah, the Eagles beat the Browns ugly, like 2016. Nick Sirianni yelling at Eagles fans at the end of the game. The Browns did block a field goal and run it back for a touchdown before the half to keep them in it. But it's weird. It's like there's just been a weird vibe with the Eagles and Sirianni all year, and I don't know what to think. It kind of was coming into the year off last year. Seems like there's still some dysfunction, so Washington probably the favorite. Got to touch on the NFC North. Best division in football. Holy crap. All 4 teams winning records. Vikings undefeated. Look, the Bears came out and destroyed the Jags in London, 35-10. Caleb Williams threw 4 touchdown passes. I was wrong about that game. I can't believe I believed in the Jags. But Caleb Williams, the Bears all of a sudden 4-2, looking really, really good. We talked about the Lions looking like one of the best teams, and then Green Bay slaughters Arizona. They're by far the best team, best division in football. We may have all 4 NFC North teams could end up in the playoffs at this point. That's just wild. And if you're a Bears fan, the excitement around Chicago, I mean, it's just everywhere, and rightfully so. At 4-2, shout out Big Cat for not saying Caleb Williams was a bust when he kind of started slow. Seems like him getting Keenan Allen back is making a big difference, and huge win for them. They're playing the Vikings next week. That's going to be a super hyped up game. Vikings off a bye. Green Bay, as I said, dominating Arizona. Detroit dominates the Cowboys. I mean, we really are looking at a situation where there could be 4 playoff teams from the NFC North. As I mentioned, the NFC South looks like a 2-horse race between Atlanta and Tampa. Atlanta did get that huge head-to-head win on Thursday night last week when they came back and won in overtime and Cousins threw for 500 yards. Out west, look, the 49ers, big win at Seattle Thursday night to get back to 3-3. I feel like even though the Niners are 3-3, they're still the favorite in the NFC. You got Niners 3-3, Seattle 3-3. Rams were on a bye; they're 1-4, and Arizona's 2-4. I mean, the Niners have had a nightmare start. No McCaffrey, a bunch of injuries. They're still 3-3, looking really good. They're not going to end up the 1 seed, but they win that division. They're going to have a home playoff game, and you look at Kyle Shanahan's playoff record and pedigree, you got to just give them the benefit of the doubt and know that they'll be good to go. Looking around the AFC, you got to give Harbaugh credit. Chargers off a bye, get a big win at Denver. They're kind of asserting themselves as the second best team in the AFC West. Chiefs are easily going to win that. AFC North, Pittsburgh Fields had a real good game at Vegas. Steelers now 4-2, Ravens 4-2. Bengals 2-4. Browns are done. And with the Browns thing, I do want to touch on this for a minute. How long are they going to just roll Deshaun Watson out there? Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, said he's a starting quarterback. I know he's got that $250 million contract. Big Cat and them said this on Part of My Take. It's almost like they're punishing Watson by making him go out there and play and embarrass himself every week because it's gotten so freaking bad. There's no hope. The fan base have no hope. I mean, Jameis Winston on the bench, Mike could give him some juice. But it's like they're almost like punishing Watson, making him play a whole season. But, I mean, it's one of the biggest Stage 5 meltdowns. You're talking about a team that made the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco, and it just could not be worse over there in Cleveland. It's, hard to even watch at this point. AFC East, Buffalo with that win kind of reasserts themselves as the favorite in that division. The rest of the division's a mess. Drake May did look pretty good in his first start. I mean, they got blown out, but I liked, he threw the ball pretty well for a rookie, considering he's got a dog shit offensive line. So, at least there's some optimism for that in New England. Mike McDaniel saying Tua is going to play sometime in 2024. He's out till week 8 on IR. Obviously Miami's a total mess too, but they did win at New England, and they're 2-3, so they're not out of it. And so the Jets, even with that loss at 2-4, not out of it, trading for Devontae Adams does, give them some hope. And we're about to be joined by Coach Vincent here in a second. Really looking forward to catching up with Bryant Vincent, ULM head coach of the 5-1 Warhawks. That's going to be a hell of a lot of fun here in a second. But NFL, still the best. And, love the DraftKings stuff, all the boosts and parlays. I actually didn't hit any this week, but man, just check out DraftKings for, they always have $10 opt-in bets, boosts, everything for Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. And I just continue to shoot for the moon, even though I didn't hit anything this weekend. I've still been having a hell of a lot of fun on there. And just kind of, everything, trying to turn the page, man. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, Monday, I had one of the worst Mondays I've had in a long time yesterday off the Saints and Ole Miss LSU thing. But it's kind of like, we're all professionals here. Let's get in here. Let's flush it. Let's turn the page, and let's get on with our life. I want to talk a little bit about Coach Vincent before we're joined with him yet. To introduce him and what he's doing at ULM football. So Coach Vincent was he was the interim head coach at UAB after Bill Clark left, and he got UAB to a bowl game a couple of years ago. And he was looking to be the guy at UAB. And UAB hired Trent Dilfer over him. And, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's stories about it. He was upset about it. And so he ends up going to be offensive coordinator at New Mexico for a year. Okay, we're about to be joined. Coach Vincent's here. He goes to New Mexico to be offensive coordinator for a year, and then ULM hires him to be their new head coach to replace Terry Bowden. And now we're joined by Coach Bryant Vincent. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Wake Up Mintzy. How you doing, Coach?
Good morning. Hey, I appreciate you having me on, Miss. Doing well.
Hell yeah. Well, look, I'm a Monroe guy. I grew up around there. And, look, you're doing the Lord's work, because I never thought I'd see the ULM Warhawks at 5-1. They made a bowl game in 2012 at 6-6. But this has been one of the most fun stories in college football to see what you and your team is doing down there. And there's so much to it, behind the scenes stuff. I was kind of introducing, your story, and you were at UAB, with Bill Clark, who did an unbelievable job there. And then you were the interim coach when he retired, and UAB had a great run with Bill Clark. I mean, phenomenal run there. And then you, when you were the interim coach, got them to a bowl game. And all players loved you, and you had a good thing going. And they decided to go with Trent Dilfer, which, may have not been the smartest decision in hindsight. And then so you had them to a bowl game, and then you went to New Mexico as an offensive coordinator. Had a hell of a year at New Mexico. Really tore it up last year offensively. You get hired at ULM. You come in. It's a rebuild. Let's call it what it is. And now all of a sudden, you've got them at 5-1. Monroe, Louisiana, buzzing like I've never seen it. And we're excited to have you on Wake Up Mintzy this morning.
I appreciate you having me on. It's been a grind. We got here December the 7th, and we had 2 weeks to recruit and really put our first class together. And we got all our coaches in, and in 2 weeks, we hit the ground, and we were able to sign 31 really good players as that initial staff. We got here, there were 34 guys in the portal. We didn't ask them to stay. I said, hey, that's fine. We want guys that want to be a Warhawk, guys that want to own this mission of turning this program around and making history. And I believe this with all my heart. It was God's plan. And I mean that. Like, his plan for me throughout my career was to rebuild programs. And it led me, all my experiences throughout my career, whether it was Greenville High School, Spanish Fort High School. Greenville was 2-8, 1-9. We went 10-3. Spanish Fort was 0-17, and we went 4-6, 11-2, 11-3, 13-2, 1, and then we go to South Alabama and go to the first bowl game. I go with Coach Clark in 14 to UAB. UAB had been to one ever in the history of the program and been on tough times, and they got beat in that bowl game. And we go 6-6 year one, and the administration shuts the program down. So I go back to South Alabama. No, they never had a program shut down. But then the community and the town rally together, man, and that's where the power is in the people. And the community and the town just wasn't going to accept it, and they brought it back. And then being able to rejoin Coach Clark in 18, who's one of the best coaches, I think, of all times. If you look at his record and what Bill Clark has done, he was a mentor of mine, a close personal friend, and we go 11-3 and break the school record for wins. We win the first West championship, the first conference championship in 18, and the first bowl game ever. 19, we win the West again. We get beat in the conference championship by Lane Kiffin. In 20, we win the conference the West again and beat Marshall at Marshall. 21, we beat BYU, supposedly the biggest win ever. In the Shreveport Bowl.
I was at that game. I was there.
Was that not a great game?
It was. No, y'all took it to them.
We led the whole game. They were 13th in the country. We pulled that off, and then, Coach retires in June. Has back surgery. He had a bad back issue, and he wanted me to be the interim coach. And he basically named me the interim coach. Bill Clark did, and there was a lot of unknown that entire year, that we didn't know what was going on. The first team meeting, with the athletic director, he said, hey, we're doing a national search. I'm going to go out and get what's best for you. That really didn't hit our players very well, because we had built something special, and we built it for Birmingham, and we built it for the people and the former players. So boom, there's a lot of uncertainty that year. We lost 5 games by one possession. 5 games by one. We were close, and we turned the ball over, and we lost some games, but we stuck together because we were built the right way. And we finished out bowl eligible and went to Bahama Bowl and extended the streak of consecutive bowl games and bowl wins. So, but you know what? God's plan was he had a different plan for me, and I don't want to be anywhere I'm not wanted. And if they didn't want me there, then I'm fine. Let's go. God's plan was to go to New Mexico and turn the worst offense around 2 years in a row. And we had the biggest turnaround in college football offensively. And it was God's plan for him to come to Monroe, to ULM, a place that one winning season, I think I don't know, I was told 30-something years.
Yeah. They were good back when they were good back in 1AA in like the 80s. They were always one of the best 1AA programs. But yeah, it's been tough.
One winning season in FBS, and we came in and it's us against everybody, and we just built it one day at a time, and now we're sitting here, 5-1, 3-0 in conference with a bye week, heading into a big game next week with South Alabama.
Well, a bunch of stuff. I prepped for this and got some fun questions for you. All right, let's start with when you found out that UAB was going to go with Trent Dilfer off the high school sideline in Nashville after everything that Bill Clark had built and handed you when y'all have been winning. I mean, I'm not trying to get perfect, but that had to hurt. There's no way around it. How did you deal with that?
We had a team meeting that I think it was Monday night. We had a team meeting right after we were bowl eligible, and we knew we were going to the bowl game. And our athletic director came in and told the team that he was still doing a national search and that they would be the first ones to know. And that night it hit social media that UAB had hired Trent Dilfer. So I'm getting blown up by all of our players. And you know what, man? And I just sat there that night and I said, you control what you can control and you handle adversity like a man, what we preach to our kids. And that next morning, our athletic director came in, and obviously we already knew the news. And I said, look, man, here's the deal. I said, this isn't about me. This is about UAB, and this is about this city. I said, but you better let me talk to this team first because they ain't happy and it ain't going to be good. And Trent had came in, and look, I got a lot of respect for Trent. This is tough on Trent. It is. College football's tough, man. Building a culture is tough. Handling adversity is tough. And, it ain't easy. So, but I wanted to support him. I wanted to handle it with class. I wanted to handle it like a man because all of our players were watching. So I went in there and I told the team, we had trustees in there, the president, there was all, I didn't know what I was walking into. And I told the team, I said, this ain't about Bryant Vincent. I said, this is about UAB, and this is about this town and this city and what we've built. And this program is going to go on. And I said, look, I'll be fine. I said, God's got a plan for me, and I'll be fine. And my challenge to them was to give Trent a chance. I said, give him a chance. Listen to the man. He's your head coach now. And I said, but by God, we're going to go win this bowl game, and we're going to finish it the right way. And these seniors are going to go out the way they deserve, because those seniors that were on that team, there was a lot of them that were part of 3 championships, the only championships in UAB football history.
Well, you went out, you did finish it. And then I also want to ask about your defensive coordinator, Ernest Hill, who is a stud. And I heard a story, shout out injury attorney John Briscato in Monroe, who I know you've met and know. He told me a story. Oh, yeah. John's a good dude, supports ULM, went to high school with. Yeah. Shout out to him. So I was actually talking to him last night and getting some backstories, prepping for this. And he said that when Trent came in and Ernest Hill told him he was going with you to New Mexico, Trent was upset about it and thought he was making a mistake, not staying at UAB to be defensive coordinator. But Ernest was loyal to you. He went with you to New Mexico, and now he's the ULM defensive coordinator, and y'all's defense is tearing it up. Can you talk a little bit about his story and y'all's relationship?
Absolutely. Coach Hill and I went to college together at West Alabama. We started coaching together. We've been extremely close since we were 19, 20 years old. When I got my first head coaching job at Greenville High School, I'd just turned 30, and I hired him immediately as my first defensive coordinator. We left after 1 year, went to Spanish Fort. I brought him with me. He was my defensive coordinator all 4 years, where from winless to 4-6, 11-2, 11-3, 11-2, 13-2. And then I went to South, and Ernest, he became the head coach at Greenville, where we were, and then he became the head coach at McGill-Tulane, and had a great career. Then he went to South Alabama as the running back coach with Kane Womack, and we stayed in touch. And then when we had an opportunity to hire him at UAB in 22, we hired him, as our secondary, our corners coach. And he's a motivator. He's a leader. He's passionate. He's a great leader. Man, the kids love him. He's hard on them. But he also motivates them to play at a high level.
Well, clearly he does. And then, the signs from the universe sometimes are everywhere. I mean, the fact that UAB comes to ULM, second game of the year, after you and Coach Hill's story with UAB, and then y'all came out and just were a pretty big underdog in the game and just destroyed them, 32-6. And I was told by John Briscato after the game, y'all were all out kind of hanging out, and you gave a speech talking about your relationship with Coach Hill at a bar in Monroe, and everybody that was there said it was like one of their favorite moments of all time. We can call it what it is. That had to feel pretty sweet to be.
It was awesome. To me, it's not about what happens to you. It's how you respond, not how you react, how you respond. And when I took this job, I did not know, UAB was on the schedule. I knew it was John Hartwell as the athletic director. And, Dr. Berry, the conversations we had when they hired us, I said, hey, I want this job. I want to prove that we can win here. I want to prove and bring out what this university and this athletic program, that mainly this football program in town, can be. We've got great people in Monroe. I mean,
damn right. I agree with that.
I mean that. Like, this place is surrounded by quality people and people that care and are passionate about this football program and this university. And we can take ULM to new heights. We can make this a consistent bowl championship program. And right now we're in the heat. I know it's crazy to talk about it, but we're in the championship run. We're 3-0 in the conference. We're not satisfied. We've got goals to obtain. We've got to get in a bowl game because we've never won a bowl game here. We want to be the first team that wins a bowl game. We want to be the first team that wins a conference championship. So, South Alabama is a championship game for us. And we just, the town, man, and the students and the university it's electric right now. And I think we're just starting to see our potential.
No, I agree. And then I look back at the last few weeks. So you start the year, you beat Jackson State on a real rainy Thursday night by a couple of touchdowns. And you get the huge win against UAB that had to build so much confidence for this team. And then you go on the road at Troy in a real tricky spot against the two-time defending conference champion, and you're able to get out of there with the win. And
right.
How much did that confidence did that build, getting that road win, just showing you can do it on the road? Because we all know in college football how tough that is.
It's tough, man. It is. I tell you what, the UAB game, I think, was kind of the turning point. We were a 13-point underdog, and I just felt like from the very beginning of the game to the very end, we were more physical than them. We were tougher, and we just, for 4 quarters, we played a different style of football. And then to go to Texas, and we got beat down in Texas, rightfully so, but I felt like we never quit. We never gave in, and I thought that was a turning point. But to go to Troy and win that war in the end at Troy was a defining moment, and I felt like a confidence builder for our team to go on the road and beat the back-to-back champ. And then we come back, and we've got James Madison, coming in that I thought was huge. I think he was really good, and we just played at a high level. And I told him just keep it close, make it a game in the fourth. And then we were able to hold on and win that game. And then Southern Miss, it's 17-14 going into the fourth, and we answered with 21 straight points. We get a stop score, and they score with 20 seconds. So we're still a work in progress. We've still got a long way to go, but we got to remember what got us here. And now we've got to really tighten those screws down on our standards and elevate them, elevate how we prepare.
Yes, both UAB and Jim, y'all have been good to me. We'll put it that way, because I've been a believer in this team, and I've been following it very, very close. So y'all being a big underdog, I had a lot of fun believing in y'all in both the UAB and the James Madison game. That James Madison game, y'all were 16.5-point underdog, punched them in the mouth physically. Y'all just came out and just punched them and then stopped them on the I watched the entire second half from up here in Chicago, stopped them on the 2-point conversion, ended up hanging on. Just such a big win. People thought James Madison was the best G5 team going into that game, but they didn't know what happens when you come into Monroe, Louisiana. And it just impressed me how physical Ernest Hill's defense is. And then also, you were juggling quarterbacks a little bit, and it seems like you got that figured out now too.
I think that the toughness and the mentality of your football team and how you've been trained and prepared year round shows in the fourth quarter, and it really shows your toughness. And I felt like we have played well, and we've finished some close games in the fourth that are, you either win them or you don't right there in the end. And our guys have really, dug in the fourth. I just like where we're going, man. We're heading in the right direction. We're beat up a little bit. The bye week came at a good time. But we've got a tough stretch. We've got South, Marshall, Texas State, Auburn, Arkansas State, and Lafayette. We've got a 6-game tough stretch, and every game is a championship game, and we're just taking it one game, one day at a time, and, just enjoying the process of building this university and this to where it belongs. And we've got something special brewing here. We do. And I think it's helping in recruiting. It's helping in enrollment. It's helping in just the energy and the positive vibes that we all come together. And Monroe it's a special place, man. It really is. It's a special place.
Well, a couple things about Monroe. Look, I know you don't have the biggest fan base, but you got some care. I mean, I've said this forever. People that come out of Monroe, Louisiana, are some of the funniest characters you're gonna ever meet. And what I've seen, and I'm following the pulse of this, like the end zones are packed. They're rowdy. The South end zone squad. I mean, those guys, the turnover celebrations with the fireball shots, they do it big. The skyboxes are packed, and then just seeing, like, I didn't get to watch any of the Southern Miss game because I was too busy getting my heart ripped out in Death Valley, but I heard the crowd was really good for Saturday night, and then just even when I announced I had you on in the interview, the response nationally, locally, I mean, I'm getting hit up by everyone. This community's on fire right now for this, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen because, I mean, like I said, you know the history of ULM. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I remember they beat Saban and Bama in 07 was obviously the high water mark for the program. They made the bowl game and lost to Ohio in 2012. But even those times, I've never seen it on fire like it is right now. And it's just a testament. You're doing that in year one. One thing about ULM, though, that is good, you're in a high school football talent hotbed there. I mean, the Louisiana's got amazing high school football. You also can reach over to Texas and Mississippi. I feel like you're in a decent spot to get some players.
We're in a great spot. Northeast Louisiana, the entire state of Louisiana is loaded with talent. And if you just look locally, you're looking at Neville, you're looking at West Monroe, you're looking at OCS, you're looking at Sterlington, you're looking at West Ouachita, you're looking at Ouachita, you're looking at, there's Carroll, Wassman. There's a ton of talent. Bastrop, Ruston. I can go on and on and on. But even in Mississippi, I've recruited the state of Mississippi my entire career, so we are well connected in Mississippi and obviously in Alabama. And, Texas is right here nearby. So we've got a great region of talent to pull from. And now when people are coming to the games, like the recruits and they see the electricity, they see the crowd, they see our student body. Our South End Zone squad is
the best.
The most popular things going on right now in college football. Our players love it. They love it. And just what they're doing over there, man, that's what we're about. We're about each other. We're about celebrating. We're about getting behind this team and this town and this university. And you're starting to see it grow. You're starting to see the fire. We started off, man, we're sparking it, brother. Mintzy, hey, we were sparking the hell out of it in January, February, and March. And then we started catching a flame a little bit in the summertime and fall camp. And now we've got a fire going. We just got to keep feeding it and growing it.
I got to ask about the significance of the number 134 to you because ULM picked 134th of 134 D1 teams. I believe the over-under win total was like 1.5 going into this year. And now you're 5-1 and almost bowl eligible. How did you use that for motivation with the players? I mean, that had to be a thing going into the year.
Absolutely. We were picked dead last in the Sun Belt. We were picked the worst college football program, in college football, 134. And it was something that really, it's how we recruited this class in December and even January, February is, look, this is who we are. This is what they say we are. They say we're the worst program in the country. We've been to one bowl game in 39 years. We didn't win it. We've never won a championship. I'm looking for men that want to make history and men that want to own this mission and men that want to change a university and a town in a Northeast Louisiana region to bring it back what it can be. And we was upfront and honest with every single one of our players. This is what it is, and it ain't going to be easy. And this is what we got to do. But here's the opportunity. And our players and coaches have owned that mission. So we own 134. We wear that shirt every game day. 134. This is where they picked us. Where are we going to finish? This is who they say they are. Who are we going to be?
Well, you're 5-1. Dang sure doing that. I want to also ask about, we're in this new world, in the NIL world. And to be honest, I mean, ULM, going into you coming there, one of the least money in the country for building it. Obviously, it's like, if you build it, they will come. I got to think that's going better right now, as you've shown what can happen and people are buying in more. Is that true?
Absolutely. I think the town's growing. I think everybody is seeing the effect of a winning program at ULM and what it does for the town and what it does for really just the community, enrollment, everything. And we've got more and more and more. Our army's growing, and that's what we've talked about, is building our army of people. The power is in the people. I've seen it. I've done it. People are powerful. The power's in the people. And when you get the people in one common direction of being positive, of building this university, of building this town, let's not talk about what we don't have. Let's not talk about what we haven't done. Let's talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And I think we've got great leadership going on right now. I think our town is willing to be led. They're wanting to help and be involved and get behind us. And it's showing. We had over 22,000 fans. The South End Zone squad was rocking. The student section was rocking. And our crowd was into it, man. So, yeah, I love being able to make an impact in these young men's lives and in this town. Because like I said, man, we've got loyal fans here. They just wanted some direction and some leadership, in my opinion. And now it's caught fire, and now it's growing pretty fast.
Heck yeah. I've got the ULL game on my calendar when I'm home for Thanksgiving to make that. I'm going to try to come make that Saturday game. I got to get out there and support this. I can tell you. That this is just like one of the most fun things to follow I've ever seen. So you said you got I want to ask about your quarterback who came from New Mexico with you, because I heard his story. Grew up in New Mexico, all his friends and family from New Mexico. Never had left there basically, and he's like, I'm going to Monroe with Coach Vincent, and I know. It seems like he's played pretty well the last few weeks and got good control of that offense. I guess he already knew the offense playing for you in New Mexico too.
He did. He was a true freshman. Aiden was a true freshman. At New Mexico, he was player of the year in the state of New Mexico. His dad pitched at Nebraska and played for the Padres a little bit. So came from an athletic family. He was a really good pitcher, but gave up baseball. He was just in love with football. And, he had a lot of good big offers coming out of high school, and we were able to get him at New Mexico. And he was the same guy. He prepared like he was the starter every day. Great teammate, great worker, high football IQ, has all the talent and skill set to really fit what we do. And he's a grinder and he's a worker, and he just continued to climb. And in that Troy game, he just kind of led us to a victory in the second half, and that's where we went with. And then James Madison was a huge win, and then Southern Miss. And I think that Aiden's gotten better each week and each start. That was his James Madison was his first start. So that's a pretty big win for your first start, and then to come back against Southern Miss and he played better. And he's a redshirt freshman. He's growing. We've won these games, last couple games, with a redshirt freshman quarterback and a true freshman running back. So, we've got a really good team coming back. We feel like that are bought in to this town and this mission and building this program.
Well, you mentioned South Alabama Saturday. How much is the bye week helping? Because, obviously you got to be a little banged up after that first stretch.
It is. We're beat up. It came at a great time. We lost our left tackle, Sam Carson, to a broken wrist against Texas. We lost our left guard, Elijah Fisher, to James Madison, and they were both really good players that have been here and been through the war and good leaders. So, we lost those two. So we had guys step up. We've got some guys on defense that are beat up that needed this break. We're going to stay sharp. We're going to get healed up. We're going to correct ourselves. We've got a lot of things to work on, in all three phases, because we're still a work in progress. We really are. And we've got to get healed up, but we also got to get started on South Alabama too.
No doubt. So, I mean, you're getting like the journey through the past thing. I mean, how crazy. You get UAB and then obviously South Alabama being in the Sun Belt. I mean, you're just getting to roll right through your whole past. Is that like, is that like kind of full circle to you a little bit?
It just tells you, man, that God is real and God's plan is for you is real. I think He's got a plan for everybody. He's going to put you through tough times. He's going to challenge you. He's going to put you in storms, and He wants to see if you're willing to come out. And I lived 4 years in Troy. I lived in Birmingham with UAB. I lived 9 years in the Mobile area, 4 years as the head coach at South, and really 6 years at UA. 4 years at Spanish Fort and 6 at South. I just think it's all this is just part of His plan of being able to come here to this town and this university and being able to change it for the positive, man, and just mentor kids and love kids and leave kids and show them they can do things that people said we couldn't do, and they can be elite versions of themselves, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And I know what my plan is here and what my purpose here is, and it's to change towns and to help people see the best that they can be and bring everybody together and lead a group of men to fight for one another and to change a football program.
I am ready. If there was a wall in this thing I could run through without breaking it, I'd do it after this interview. I mean, I just can feel it. Like, you can feel the conviction and energy out of you. It's like radiating in this interview. I'm a big positive energy guy, and I can just tell. I see why people are responding the way they are. You're really bringing in an attitude and energy that I see why players love playing for you. That's for sure, Coach. Well, we're going to be following you. We're going to be following you here close the rest of the way. ULM at South Alabama this weekend, and like I said, I'm going to try to make it to Monroe for that ULL big rivalry game that Saturday at Thanksgiving week. And man, one more win till bowl eligibility. It's going to be a heck of a celebration in Monroe, Louisiana. Just want to say thanks for coming on, joining us this morning on Wake Up Mintzy. Glad to give some Barstool love to my old hometown, and love what you're doing in Monroe, Louisiana. ULM Warhawks.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the time, and go Warhawks.
Shout out Sean Fox, too, my childhood best friend. He actually got me into sports radio and media, and I know he loves you and calls games on ESPN3, and he's the reason I started getting into sports radio, and so he's all in, and it's I'm following it through him. And
well, let me tell you something. You and Sean are two rock stars, so y'all keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you, what you do, really for sports and college football.
What a guy. Coach Bryant Vincent. How can you not pull for Coach Vincent, the ULM Warhawks? Thanks again to Coach for joining us this morning on Wake Up Mintzy. As always, Stella Blue and Dude Wipes, cleaning up all our messes. We're going to be – Moody, do you want to pop on for a second? Or do you want to get out of here? It's 9:52. We're going to get out of here. All right, Stella Blue, Dude Wipes, best sponsors you can ever have in the world. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank y'all for joining us. Thanks to Coach Vincent. I mean, follow him on Twitter. Follow ULM football. They're America's team, baby. Talon's out. We'll see you tomorrow on Wake Up Mintzy. Man, I love fall. The leaves are changing. Football and Stella Blue coffee. And this season, maple pumpkin pie. But my morning routine would not be complete without pumpkin spice Dude Wipes.
Oh, Mintzy, let it rip.
Cheers, furry fellas. Coffee that fuels you, wipes that clean you.